Hello, welcome back for our 54th episode of Animus Absentis. I'm excited to be back with this crew and start telling some more stories on this side of the galaxy. And yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Before we jump in, I'm gonna introduce everyone, or let everyone introduce themselves rather, and say a few words about our sponsors, and then we'll jump into the story. So, sponsors, let me go ahead and get that into chat. They are Fundamental RPG. It's a simple D20 system that's not tied to a genre, so you can use it to play any style of game that you would like, from high fantasy to sci-fi, like we have tonight, and everything in between. Animus runs on Fundamental RPG, so you'll get a good example of what that looks like tonight. If you want to pick up the physical copies, they are available on Amazon. They look like this. Or you can pick up the PDF over on my coffee store, which is just coffee.com/Raven. Like I spelled the top and bottom left corners of the screen. Also, go check out Die Hard Dice. They sell amazing polymer and metal dice sets and accessories, and it's just a really awesome company. You can check out their stuff at dieharddice.com. If you use the code FUNRPG, all one word, capitals, you can get 10% off of your entire order. And I highly recommend checking out the fairy set, which the green screen is picking up some of the green on it, but they're really pretty. It's like a pastel rainbow with a green tint overall and lots of glitter. They're very fun to roll. And then if you want to catch up on this show or any others that we have on the channel, you can do so at the Fantasy Network at watch.thefantasy.network, or over on our YouTube channel, which is just Blackfeather Guild in the YouTube search bar, and it'll pop right up. And I think that's it for all of that. So let's do our intro, starting at the top left with Jay. Tell us a little bit about Sparky and yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Jay, or Alien Jays. I am a writer and a content creator, I guess, game creator, whatever I am. I'm alive. Tonight I'm playing Sparky, who is our assassin slash stealth slash mouth slash panic doll. They used to be a trained assassin under Rip, who is now on the ship. That's going to be weird. And they are a clone. So that's also going to be weird. And they're slowly but surely coming out of their anxiety shell and hoping to work more in the background on this whole space communism thing.
Awesome. Next, we've got, we've got V. Tell us a little bit about Annie and yourself.
Hi, I'm V, or Vanessa. I am an artist. I work primarily in watercolor and pencil sketch, and also some digital. Oh my goodness, I just woke up from a nap, so give me a couple minutes for my brain to restart. Watercolor and pencil sketch, and some digital stuff as well. If you'd like to check out my work, you can certainly do so. I have an art Twitter, which is at PepperoDraws, just below my name card there, and that's Pepper like the candy. And I play Annie, and she is trying to reset now from talking about Alistair for the last season and then going back to Annie. Let's see. Annie is, she's kind of like my Robin Hood kind of character, but rather than stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, she steals from the rich and sells to the slightly less rich. She deals a lot in information brokering, which was mainly what she did before she lost her memories. And now that she has them back, she's remembering a large part of that and coming to terms with, you know, the person that she was before versus this little family that she's created, when one of her rules was specifically don't get attached to people, because when you have that sort of work, having attachments is not the greatest, then they can be used. But she's here now. She's got her little brother on board, Liam, and her number one goal is to keep him safe now that he's caught up in all of the crazy shenanigans of the crew. And yeah, that's me, and that's Annie.
Awesome. Next, we've got Canned. Tell us a little bit about Billy and yourself.
Hi, I'm Ken, Alex, whatever you want to call me at this point. I am not good at this at all, as per usual. Billy is cool, she is new, she makes everybody depressed, and the captain has claimed her as a child. She is from a mining operation where it's basically indentured servitude. and she's had parts replaced. This wasn't asked, given consent to. So I'm an artist. You can find me around. That's it.
All right. And then next, we're welcoming a new person to the crew. Hannah, tell us a little bit about yourself and your character.
Hi, I'm Hannah, or Whoa Hannah, wherever I exist on the internet. I'm a human, sometimes mostly. And today I'm going to be playing. I'm probably not going to say too much so that we can have some mystery going in.
That's
The character's
totally
name
fair.
is Lev, and she is a medic. And that's all I'll say.
All right. Next, we've got Goody. Tell us a little bit about Captain and yourself.
I'm Goody. I play Captain. Captain is an android. She is a Black Ops murder droid. However, that was before her memory got wiped. Now she seems more interested in plants. She is, for all intents and purposes, the mom of the crew, whether she wants to be or not. And yeah, she's just trying her best to understand humans. She thinks they're ridiculous. She does not wish to be a human or be more like them, but she just wants to understand them better.
Awesome. That just leaves me. I'm Raven. I'm the creative director for the Raven Evermore, which is my brand for all the various things that I do, most of which are tabletop related or adjacent. My link tree is there in chat if you want to learn more. And then I play everybody else in the galaxy, including a menagerie of NPCs on the ship now. We've got Liam, which is Annie's little brother, who's on the ship. Seth, who is an adopted would-be kidnapper, tried to kidnap the last doctor and ended up getting adopted into the crew. Daisy, who was the big bad of season 1, who's now also a adopted part of the crew. And Rip, who's been the big bad of all the seasons thus far, who we'll see if he gets adopted into the crew or not. Guessing not, given how much I've tormented them with that character. But for the moment, they're working together, and that's just so much fun for me.
Yeah, we can adopt him.
Y'all are
Background with him.
sounding like a shonen anime with your adopting all of their past enemies up
Yeah.
in here.
The crew's basically Goku in that regard. It's true.
You know, if we do adopt Rip, he could be free range. We've got a lot of space outside the ship for him to just run free.
I mean, he does like hanging on the outside of our ship in only a spacesuit.
Yeah, that is true.
Something he likes or just a thing he's done?
I'm not going to ask.
Same difference.
You know, they say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life, so I'll just leave it at that. On that note, let's do a little bit of recap because it's been a whole season in between our last episode and this one. So for those who have followed Animus Violentis, which was our side campaign that we had last season, we're kind of going back to the beginning of that for the moment. And we're going to catch the Absentis timeline up very quickly to that. So at the end of our last episode of Absentis, our crew, I believe, was on Mars, where you discovered that the cartel was making these androids with human brains, which in this galaxy is a particularly big no-no. Advanced cybernetics are strictly regulated and mostly forbidden. So the idea of putting a human brain into an android is like pretty much the most extreme you could go at breaking those laws. So you found out that not much more about why or how or what was, in the brains that were going into the androids. But you did find that out. Rip sort of intercepted you at the spaceport where it was revealed that your previous doctor had restored their memories in secret and had basically gone back to being a bad guy. was going to get the cartel to ambush you all, but Rip put an end to that with a gunshot to the face. And explained what the cartel was doing, and that even though he was, to use the meme of, only so and so long from retirement, he decided that was his stop. Like that, he's done a lot of horrible, evil things, but that was the line he didn't want to cross. So he's working with you. I believe from there you left the planet, and we're kind of trying to decide what to do. It's been about 4 months since our last episode, so that's what I remember. Am I forgetting anything that you all remember or want to add?
What was our plan of action? Because we did let Rip on the ship. Do we remember where we were going?
I don't remember.
I don't
we watched
recall.
That video that Rip had, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't recall if there was a plan. I think that we kind of just ended it on that. Well,
Yeah, we might
shit,
have.
what do we do now?
Yeah, I think it might have been nebulous. Okay.
So, if there's anything else that you all want to add to that recap, we can go ahead and move on to, say, the next day on the ship. You've gotten settled into probably a somewhat uneasy routine with Rip there, but you're on your ship, you're fully fueled, you're stocked up. What's the conversation happening on the ship around what your plan of action is? What are your immediate thoughts on what to do with this new information?
So when Doctor went bye-bye, did we receive any of their information that they may have accumulated behind our backs?
Yeah, there is. All their files and everything are still on board the ship. You can absolutely try to get into those and see what information you can glean from them.
So are they decoded? Because I remember the Doctor always wrote crap in code, and that was part of the problem.
Yeah.
That they couldn't access.
If you go down to the infirmary and try to access their computer, yeah, it's all encrypted. But you do happen to have people that are really good at hacking on the ship, so...
That is true. We do have resources. Yeah, I think Captain's gonna try to look into that.
Okay. If you would like to try and access them, it will be an engineering tech roll to try to hack in there. If you have anything in hacking or relatable training, you can absolutely use that.
No, I don't. But
Captain could call on the hacker.
yeah,
It is true.
which one?
That I leave up to you.
That's a good question.
I tend to default to the PCs over the NPCs, but you can do either one.
True. Gonna send a message to Daisy.
All right. What does the message say?
Please come to the infirmary.
You get a text message back that says OMW, and then below it in parentheses, did someone get shot?
No, it's a computer thing.
And about the time that you get that message sent off, maybe 5 seconds later, she comes running around the corner out of breath. Goes, oh, thank God. Usually, when we're in the infirmary, it's because somebody hurt themselves or got shot or something.
Daisy, one of the last people to get shot was you.
Yeah. Hence the, anxiety over it.
Are you too anxious to be here?
No, I'm fine. I just was worried someone got shot. I mean, Rip's on board.
I would imagine there would be more commotion had we experienced fire.
It's fine. What do you need looked at?
I was trying to access the doctor's information that they had left behind with their departure, and I found it to be encrypted.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, let me see what I can do. And she pulls out her tablet and plugs it into the console there in the infirmary. And with a 39, she gets you into like the computer itself. So like the like when you do the lock screen on your PC or whatever, she got like past that password. She's like, all right,
Okay.
I'm into the console. All these files are probably secured, but got us this far for now. I don't see any documents in here called like evil plan to screw over the crew, so I'm not sure
I
where.
believe the doctor was more nuanced than that.
I mean, it's the whole heist incident. I don't know.
I used nuanced in a human sarcastic way.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Um. Anyways, do you want me to keep looking through the computer? Do you want to look through it yourself, or?
You, if you would not mind just unlocking any files that seem to be of import and sending them to me. I need to return to the bridge at this point.
Okay. Yeah. Tell you what. I'm gonna need to run this through some programs I have in my room. So I'm just gonna take this computer apart. I'll work on the hard drive and I'll send you whatever I can find off of it.
That's fine, so long as we still have access to use of the whole medical bay, that should not be a problem.
Oh, mostly?
Mostly?
I mean, all the equipment will still work, but I think that the like auto dock assist is on this computer, so that might not work. Just, don't need surgery for the next 6 or 8 hours.
I do not require surgery.
See, we'll be fine. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Don't worry, Captain.
And
I'm on it. It'll be fine. See you on the bridge.
yes.
And with that, she starts. She's got like a multi-tool on her belt or something like that. She starts pulling out little tools and literally taking the computer apart. There's a couple of sparks that fly, and you hear like a little yelp. She's like, "Nope, it's fine. It's fine. That was a live wire. It's fine. Don't worry about it."
You can turn off the power source if you need to, Daisy.
Yep, it's fine. Just forgot to do that. And she goes back to work.
And Captain goes to the bridge.
All right. How about the rest of the ship? What's Sparky, Billy, and or Annie up to?
What's Rip up to?
Rip is currently sitting in the mess hall, seriously contemplating a cup of coffee in front of him. Like
I think Sparky
1,000-mile
is
stare.
seriously, yeah, I think Sparky is seriously contemplating Rip on the other side of the table. Like they're just sitting, opposite ends.
The mood in the room is, in a word, tense.
That's a
Billy
word for
walks
it.
in, goes to the fridge. She takes out a tomato and bites into it. And it's just like, have you ever had one of these?
Sparky does a bit of a side eye, like kind of still keeping Rip in the vision. Like, we eat them now and then. We grow them on the ship.
They're so good. What are they called?
I'm sorry?
What's it called?
That's a tomato.
Tomato?
Either or.
Wait, there's multiple ways of pronouncing it?
Yeah.
There's just a loud sip as Rip picks up the coffee mug and goes,
We thought if we gave this guy a coffee cup and told him to sip it, it would make him seem like more of an asshole.
and he just slowly looks over to Billy. You don't get out much, do you, kid?
No, I'm from the mining. I'm from the mines.
Oh.
The asteroid colonies?
Yeah, I've been out there before. That's a tough situation.
I wouldn't know. I'm third generation.
Another sip. Well, enjoy your freedom, kid.
Thanks. I'm. Okay. She wanders off with the tomato, feeling very lightly threatened by that.
That's fair.
Which is pretty much the quintessential Rip right there.
Mm-hmm.
That is the essence of his personality.
I think Sparky tries to catch Rip's eye, like when he's taking a sip or whatever, just to make eye contact to kind of confirm, you're looking at me, I'm looking at you. A, I'm watching you, but B, I'd like to talk, is kind of the implication.
Okay. Yeah, he just sort of sits there for a little bit, lets that sort of silence hang until it gets just awkward enough,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally clears his throat and just like, you got something to say?
I have a lot of things to say to you, Rip, but the one that I really want to say right now is, what do you... Oh, this feels so wrong. What do you think we should do?
He just sort of sits there for a second and has a little chuckle. Finally looks up away from his coffee and looks directly at you, looking you in the eye. Says, the whole point of me coming to you all to work with you is because no matter what I plan, you all seem to thwart that. So I assumed you all might have a plan what to do with this information. As much as I hate to say it, either you're the luckiest group of individuals in this entire universe, or you're way better at planning than me and the rest of the cartel have been. So I was hoping you would have a plan.
Okay, so here's what we should do, is we should have a family meeting, and you'll also be invited, to discuss whatever the hell we should be doing with this, because I have no idea. I mean, we were just on the trail of finding out where all my clone bodies went, and now we're dealing with this new heap of shit.
Right. Well, I mean, I can clear up a lot of stuff about your origins if you have questions.
Not here, and not around anyone else.
He takes a very long drink from his coffee mug and sets it down a little bit loudly, not slammed on the table, but loud enough that it makes a thud. And sort of sniffs. That's reasonable.
Meet me in my room in a half hour.
All right, when's this family meeting happening?
We usually have it with dinner. I'll ask Captain. And Sparky will send off a quick text message to Captain, like, hey, can we have a family meeting tonight at dinner to discuss what we're doing? Rip will also be there, but he is not family.
That is a very specific distinction. That is fine.
Okay. Yeah, Sparky will send back a thumbs up frog emoji. And yeah, like, Yeah, it's arranged. And they'll stand up and they'll kind of bump the table a little bit, just enough to kind of jostle the coffee cup. See you in my room in a half hour. Rip. And they'll walk with enough of a berth around him, kind of out of arm's reach, and saunter off down the hallway to their room.
Rip just tips his hat as you walk by, and that's all he does. He doesn't say anything.
This is all about the microaggressions against Rip. We gotta savor them.
I am here for it. And then how about Annie? What's Annie up to?
Annie is anywhere Rip is not.
Okay.
And I will be sticking to my guns on that. She got her opportunity to give him a really good smack or two right in the nose. That does not make up for almost murdering her. So she is still very angry. She knows that it's, they need to have him here. She's not going to say throw the whole man off the ship in the middle of, a jump, but she's not subjecting herself to being anywhere near that man for as long as she can physically manage it. Dinner is going to be different. They're going to need to talk about some stuff, but other than that, she's not in the mess hall. I can tell you that much.
All right. So excluding the mess hall, where might Annie be during this time, and what might she be doing?
So I don't remember exactly what the plan was for her when we left off last time. I would say she's probably she probably hangs around her room. I'm gonna have her digging into some of the old stuff. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say maybe trying to find the source of the video or anything like that.
Which video?
Rip brought a video showing all those like androids. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, she can certainly do that. She's probably holed up in her room. She'll take the video with her, probably going through some of her resources to see if she can find any more information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and give me an engineering tech roll.
Come on, D20 or roll 20. It's the first session back. Back to Annie. Give me something good. Tech engineering.
28.
Okay. I mean, I rolled a 2, but whatever.
It's pretty good. So yeah, you're able to verify the authenticity of the video. It came from a closed security feed from a building on Mars, not terribly far away from where you all were. And you can see that they are military grade androids, and pretty much everything except for the head enclosures looks pretty standard, actually. And a lot of the ones that are being assembled that you can see in the feed, once they're fully assembled, look exactly like normal military models of androids. So they would be nowhere near sentient, just basically advanced drones, essentially. But you can see very clearly that they're installing human brains into some sort of compartment in the head where normally there would be a bank of computer chips and processors and things like that. Is there anything else specifically you want to know about the video or its origins?
Well, first of all, she's equally as impressed as she is disgusted. For there to be like no visible like outward signs of anything more advanced, like the way that it just looks, normal, to her is pretty impressive. And then to be able to outfit that with something as complicated as a human brain. So she's begrudgingly impressed by what's happening. Can she tell by the footage, like, is there any code on it to indicate how old this is, like when it might have been shot, so she can maybe get an idea of if, this is going on a while or if it's relatively new?
It's from about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Give or take, like 2 weeks to a month ago. And it looks like they're assembling a lot of them.
Okay, yeah, that was my next question. How big a stock do they have in the video as of that point?
Yeah, you can't tell how many they have in the video, but like you can see at least a couple of dozen being assembled over the span of the entire video.
Okay. I am brain farting on any important information because I can't remember what specifically is simply something that Alice knew versus what I need to have Annie know.
That's fair. That is fair.
So I'm trying to like, don't meta this. Like, I'm trying to remember what I don't have in this situation. Let me do it this way then. For the players that were not present, do you guys have any questions that you'd like to know the answers to?
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Because you weren't here, so I can't meta if I'm not the one asking the questions.
That's very fair. For anybody watching that aren't familiar, V and Goody were both in the Animus Violentis side campaign that we did last season.
Secret information.
As different characters.
It's just a static camera, is it? Like it's just one angle?
Yeah, it's
like a okay.
It's just the one in the assembly room.
Information-wise, I could think of is there been any sign of sentience in these things?
It's hard to tell, just from the video, but they definitely don't move like androids usually do. The gait and just their body language and things is either an incredibly advanced algorithm, or, you know, an effect of the human brains being put into them. Also, thank you to Bad Medicine for the 10,000 guild coins, redeeming those for an advantage for V.
Sweet.
I think my question would be, are there any, not even just in the building, but are there any identifying markers on the androids themselves? Because we know, we said they were kind of stock, but do they have any like emblems or patches or anything like that to kind of denote whose they are?
That's a great question. There is not, there's not like logos on them or anything. They're still in like the
like fresh out the mold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, they are being equipped with guns, and you all have been around long enough that you should know this without having to roll. You do know it's a particular brand of gun that Vizco tends to use in their military. So it's not a, that's definitely for Vizco kind of sign, but it's like, that's sus.
It would be a decent guess. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Yep.
Could she access the metadata to see what kind of camera this was being shot on? I don't know if that would be helpful at all, but like that sort of thing should be accessible.
Absolutely. And that's a really good question. It is it's a model that's typically used for, it's super encrypted and secure, typically used for military installations, and government buildings, things like that, where the average person's never going to see the inside of that building. But it's also known to be used for black market operations as well. It's a favorite model among organized crime and things like that, in addition to military and government.
I had a question, but I can't remember it.
Well, if you think of it later, feel free to throw that out there.
Oh, was there any indication, i.e. windows or anything else like that, of what time of day it was?
No, it's an completely enclosed room.
Okay.
I mean, it does have the timestamp on the...
Oh, okay.
On the metadata. It was like 5 in the afternoon, roughly. And then
I guess the only other question I have is, are there any displays, like electronic displays, that are visible within the camera, like readable?
there are some displays, but it's not high enough quality to zoom in that far.
Okay,
It's hard to say what's on it.
I think that's all my questions.
The
All right.
only thing that I can think about this footage is like that one scene with Heisenberg's factory in Resident Evil 8, where it's just like big scale things in the background all moving.
It very much seems like a factory floor kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's spooky and I don't like it.
Bad Medicine in chat just said, you mean you can't just type loudly on a keyboard and say enhance?
That would solve so many of our issues throughout this damn game.
It sure would.
That's true.
Maybe if it was a live feed, we could enhance, but like given that it seems to be
Mm.
secondhand data, so the quality might not be.
I mean, we could.
The best.
I mean, theoretically, we could take screen captures and run them through an algorithm with an AI, because that's what we do now. It
That's
doesn't
true.
give the best result, but it is an option. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else that would be an indicator, unless we know kind of like maybe if there's any weak points in the models. Are they shielded really well? Do they look like they use a specific type of power source? Or that's the only other thing, like just technical specs, I guess, from what we could see.
You do know it looks like a standard military model, so you could probably look up similar models to find out information like that.
Okay.
Given the time frame, couldn't we look up anyone who has in the last bit before that purchased a large amount of these?
You can certainly try. That is a lot of data to dig through. But you can certainly give it a shot. Anybody who would like to dedicate some time to that just need 3 engineering tech rolls.
Could I use my influential with criminals asset to add to that? Since you said that this type of like more for the cameras than anything.
The cameras?
Since you said that camera was kind of
Yeah, you can throw that in there.
okay. Get a +2. So is it +2 to presence rolls when dealing with them? Is that still?
We'll
I
just
think it'd be
apply
me
that to
asking them.
yeah. We'll just apply it to the tech engineering. That's fine.
Okay.
Oh no. Oh,
Well, wouldn't be Animus if we didn't roll a 1 on the first go.
let's see how bad it is. Okay, that's not. I rolled an 18 on the
Oh,
D20,
okay.
so that's not a
That's-
terrible thing.
Could have been much worse.
It just
You're marked for death.
no. It's more like your IP address has been banned.
Sparky, we told you can't come here anymore.
Yeah,
You just gotta go get one of them VPN. There's free trials everywhere.
yeah. So it locks you out for now. So you are not able to pursue that path for the moment, but if you try again in a day or two, you'll be fine. I'm gonna say it'll take that long to set up a decent VPN and computer words here to get that to work.
Hack the firewall, reroute the mainframe.
Yep.
Computer pun.
Amazing.
Damn it, Vanessa!
I have to keep the tradition alive. What do you mean?
It's true. All right, so I do want to get back to Rip and Sparky in the room, but I'm gonna say that's gonna happen like dinner will happen before that.
I'm also okay if that happens off screen.
Okay, we can do that
If
too.
it's just you and I, because that was kind of the intent of like, I don't really want everyone to know all the dirty secrets of my clone background.
We can absolutely do that. But I do want to get to the family meeting. So does everyone show up to the meeting on time?
Captain is
Annie
5
is-
minutes early.
Annie is fashionably late. She doesn't like this and she wants everybody to know it, but she does show up.
Billy is elsewhere, like working on things, and trying to like do small repairs and cleanings of the ship.
Okay.
She has not clued in yet that she is family.
I think Sparky will find Billy while prepping dinner and drag her in to help, just like doing prep.
Okay.
Like, but I thought you were having a family meeting in there.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you? What?
You're living on the ship now, your family.
So everybody living
Except
on
Rip.
the family.
Yeah, I think, mid-sentence, I was very like, except Rip. Except that one. Because he's not living here. He is staying here under duress.
I mean, he doesn't seem like he's that dressed being here.
I'm putting him under duress, it's me.
Pardon?
Come prep food with me. I need a hand.
Oh, okay. So she goes and follows Sparky.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna roll my... Is that art for cooking? Pretty sure that's art, right?
Yes, it is. V. I am the
We're gonna
dress.
see how bad that is. Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
+3, so 21.
That's a pretty decent dinner. You're prepping everything just fine. You ask.
Billy just chops vegetables. What you chops what you put in front of her. It's not well chopped. It's just chopped.
I was gonna say, Billy helps with the prep, and it's a very rustic cut of vegetables.
That's very trendy right now. It's fine. It's fine.
Emphasis on the rustic. But yeah, the two of you make dinner, and it's pretty darn tasty. Very nice home style dinner of whatever you would like to have prepared. Rip is also there 5 minutes early and just awkwardly stares at Captain. So if you
Is there something on my dermal covering?
Nope.
Do you need something?
Well, I need a plan, but we're about to discuss that, so I think I'm good.
It is my understanding that when another human seeks the eye contact of another, they desire something.
Nope, sorry, just it's very odd seeing you like this.
Seated?
He just sort of gives you a little chuckle. No, just you have more of a personality than you used to. That's not a bad thing. It's just different. It's interesting to see.
Well, from my understanding, I was not within my own control when you probably last knew me.
Not really, no.
Personalities don't really shine at that time, do they?
That is a fair point.
Captain just continues to stare at the wall in front of her, waiting for people to show up.
Rip just sort of adjusts his hat and sits down and stops staring at you. Just
Good, because it's freaking rude.
He just sits there awkwardly. And then everybody else shows up except for Annie, who's gonna appear fashionably late. So right about the time that you all get ready to start talking, so like right before Annie shows up, there is a proximity alarm that goes off. And where is Annie at the moment?
If it's been a couple minutes since everybody sat down and it's like to the point where we're getting ready to talk, she's probably on the way to the mess hall, like in a hallway or something. Like she's getting there.
Okay.
I don't think she would stay away. Like it's just a couple minutes. She's not going to wait till half of dinner's over. So I would say probably in a hallway on the way there.
Okay. Then you especially hear this. Actually, I'm gonna say that you hear this without rolling. I'll have everybody in the mess hall roll hearing. to see if you hear and or feel this through the ship.
I'm in danger.
32, 17.
Can I use my cybernetic implants for bonus?
Yeah, you can do that.
Thank you.
At 32 for Sparky, 17 for Captain. Oh no.
Oh, honey.
Doesn't matter. I critical failed.
It's like a hearing aid going off.
Yeah, there's
Feedback.
Artificial tinnitus.
I rolled a 4 on the d20, so it's pretty bad. So, you know,
That's okay. She needed repairs for things anyways. Feel free to like have one of her like eardrums all of a sudden just go on the fritz.
I was gonna say that there's a problem with your cybernetic implants. So, like, it's just like a flashbang just went off. So your left ear is just ringing, like tinnitus ringing. You can still hear out of your right ear, but that happened right as the noise happened, so you didn't catch it. But Annie, Sparky, and
Billy reacts as if she heard something, but it's more of a ah.
So Captain, you didn't hear the noise, but you do see Billy reacting that way. Sparky, you did hear a noise on the hull. And then Annie, you also heard something impact the hull. What does everyone do with this new information?
What's Rip's reaction? Does he look? Did he hear it at all?
Yeah, he just pulls out a flask out of his vest pocket, unscrews it and sips it, and goes, "Well, that is probably not good."
I hate Rip so goddamn much.
I think Sparky is 100% suspicious of Rip. And almost like really, really leans over the table to Rip. Is this you? Was this all just a fucking setup? Is this you, Rip? Because if it is, I gotta applaud you before, we kill you. Well done.
He just shakes his head, and he's moving very deliberately slowly and reacting very slowly. And you can tell it's on purpose. He just sets his flask down. Not me. Well, might be here for me, but it's not me.
Oh, good. Goody gumdrops. Cap, anything on the sensors?
Do I have to roll something to find out?
No, you're able to just look at the sensors, and yeah, there is something attached to your hull on top of the ship, and it is registering as organic.
I'm afraid there's something currently alive attached to the outside of our ship. Also, what is wrong with Billy?
Billy, you okay?
Yeah. I think. Oh fuck! This is really. Sorry. I can't. I try to think through this. It kind of. You ever been next to an implosion?
Not an implosion, but a couple explosions. Uh-huh.
Explosions, yes.
No, implosion, or just like it just rips all the sound out, and then it's just screaming. That's what's going on in my ear right now. I think I may have. I'm not sure what I got. I think something's damaged inside my ear.
Okay.
Billy, are your ears organic or are they cybernetic?
Well, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I know like what parts of me, the big parts are like not organic and stuff, but I'm not exactly sure how much little parts are at this point.
If you're hearing perpetual small noise, that sounds like a mechanical issue. One that humans don't necessarily experience. But
No, humans get this.
not that loudly.
is ringing. That always rings.
Yes, there's tinnitus, but you are describing a loud screaming.
That's what it sounds like, right?
I've never heard a human describe it as such, but I've had my own ears go on the fritz, and it can make all sorts of strange noises.
Maybe whatever on the hull sent out like a sonic pulse?
I mean,
But then I guess Captain would sense it too.
While you're having that conversation, Billy, the noise dies down. You're still having a hard time hearing out of that ear, but it does quiet down and kind of go away.
I think the damage was temporary. It's easing up. Sorry.
There's nothing to apologize for, but if there's something on our hull, I will go and investigate, as I do not need to wear the suit.
Let me know if you need backup.
You might want to wear the suit just anyways. It's also for extra protection for yourself, because like there's a lot of like dust and debris that'll get right into the weird cracks.
That is true.
It could also be like irradiated or something. We don't know what it is.
Irradiation is a very low concern of mine, but I will
For
wear a
us,
suit.
Because if you
I
come back in
suppose.
with all that on, hate to be killed by a plague you brought in.
I'll wear the suit.
Thanks, Cap. And Sparky will get up from the table and start heading out towards the bridge, sparing a side-eye glance at Rip, like, I'm watching you.
Rip just takes another sip from his flask and looks over. Is like, I'll talk a lot when make a decision.
Just hands up as they're leaving the room.
He's not wrong.
And yet still we managed to best him almost every season.
Exactly. He's noting that. He's like, maybe there's something to that.
Healthy communication.
Didn't see that one coming.
Do I need to do anything before I just go out?
No, you can just put on the suit and go out. I do need a sight roll, though.
Okay.
As the ship is somewhat bigger than your last one, so
True. That is true.
finding a small thing on the top will be a little difficult. So a 14, it's a little hard to locate anything. It's taking you a while to find what hit the hull. It's the top section, but it's kind of big to explore.
Okay.
However, Hannah, Lev has found themselves attached to the top of a large ship in your spacesuit, and you can see someone has exited an airlock and is walking in your general direction in a spacesuit.
I like to imagine that Love was super heckin' unconscious up until this point, and then like attaches and hits the ship and is like, fuck. Hey! How am I attached to this ship? Am I like hooked onto hooked onto something?
Mostly, like, the initial impact was just gravity, because this is the largest thing in the area, and you are a small thing, and you happen to be right in its path.
Alrighty.
But I'm going to say that your spacesuit magnetic boots just sort of activated and clamped you onto the hull after the initial impact.
Alright, well, the waving will be like, what I do then, like, hello?
So, Captain, once Lev starts waving, you're able to locate her very quickly.
Then approaches slowly.
And your suits attuned to each other so that you can speak over the radios and hear each other.
Why are you on my ship?
Where the fuck am I?
On my ship.
Right, yeah, that should have been self-evident. been floating. So mostly accidentally, I'm on your ship.
Are you armed?
Yes. And levels show off their just like standard. What is a standard kind of gun?
It's just like a handgun pistol.
Yeah, just shows off their handgun.
Do you offer ill intent?
I don't even know who you are.
Even better.
No.
Can you move?
He's a bit rusty. Floating in space will do that though.
Can you walk?
Can I walk?
Yes, you could walk. I do have a quick pause there though. So V, can you give me a sight roll?
Could I roll one as well since I'm in there, or is this like before I get into the bridge?
You can roll one as well.
Okay.
$23 and $24? Okay, so you're both able to see the captain talking to Lev. Like you can see it's a person in a suit. And you're able to zoom in, and you can see that Lev's spacesuit is a little disheveled, and the little air indicator has kind of slid, so it's not readily in Lev's view, but you can see that it's showing low oxygen from the bridge.
Annie's gonna come out to Cap and just say, I don't know who you're talking to out there, but either kick him off the ship or take him on in, because that air indicator is mighty low.
How did they get here? We're in space.
I don't know. I figure
I don't
if
recall
we're gonna
pulling over.
save them, if we're gonna save them, then we might as well bring them in first, I guess. Just
I
make,
can still
make the
hear you
decision, Cap.
both.
It's
You're
fine.
right.
It's fine. Just make the
Can
decision
I hear
if you
all
want to
of
bring them
this?
in.
They might be a space ticker.
Come on the front of the ship.
I'm
Hand your weapons over to me.
not everybody likes us, so sometimes they'll just kick you off of a ship and let you kind of float away, and maybe you'll run into another ship.
Oh my god, how many of them are out there?
Hand your weapons over to me, and you can follow me into the ship. There's indicators that your oxygen is low. You will be placed in isolation, but you will not be harmed.
That explains brain fuzz. Cool. So like, I mean, I guess I don't really have a whole lot of choice. Yeah, all right. Just hands over the gun.
Again, can you walk, or must I carry you?
I can walk. Yeah, probably. Yes. And like takes a step and is like, okay, yeah.
This way.
Okay.
And just goes to a airlock.
All right, yeah, you are able to go back into the ship.
Describe captain for Hannah.
What'd you say?
What?
You should describe captain's appearance to Hannah.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
Well,
you would have been in
maybe-
a suit.
Yeah, and maybe when she's out of the suit.
Night.
All right. So we're to the airlock?
Yeah, you got to the airlock, you can take your suit off.
Captain is about 5'2" and looks like a petite little ball joint doll. Her hair is a blonde white, her skin is very white, and her eyes are a pinkish red. And her hair is always kept in braids, like Dutch braids.
Level like regard you and is clearly like looking you over, but then doesn't say anything and just starts taking off their suit, somewhat like wobbly, and takes in a deep breath the moment the helmet is off. It's like, oh, that's the good shit. Lev is probably about 6 feet and has a shock of very fluffy, bright blue hair. and they are pretty built, which might not be super obvious under whatever clothes they're wearing. I'm sure it's some standard jump
Fatigues,
suit
kind of
deal.
jumpsuit, yeah.
Fatigues, yeah.
Okay.
I will escort you to the isolation bay within our med chamber.
Oh, fuck yeah, med chamber. Excellent.
Do you require medical assistance?
No, I got that covered.
Understood. This way. And just very politely leads you to the
Like
med
just-
bay.
It's kind of like looking around. It seems to be very out of it as they follow behind.
Awesome.
I think Sparky's definitely like peeking out of the bridge door down the hall. Like,
So is Billy, admittedly.
We're all just like,
So yeah, I guess just takes her to the med bay. Puts her in the room and
Okay. When
Hey, quick question about the med bay. Is it still absolutely fucking covered in the doctor's ramblings?
a
that was
bit.
the old ship, wasn't it?
No, this ship as well.
Okay.
They had moved everything over. Daisy has sort of put that into somewhat organized piles, with little like post-it note labels on them. A lot of them are just a series of question marks.
What kind of stuff is this, sorry?
It's paper notes that the previous doctor had written out, trying to unlock the mystery of how to restore their memories and what their past self had sort of left.
Think like a red string diagram across a bunch of papers, sort of.
Mhm.
it's like, is it like a crazy person room now?
It was. Daisy sort of like organized it and set it aside so that the room was usable. Speaking of, Daisy's still in there. Daisy is about 5 foot, probably, I think she's like 5'4", 5'5", something like that. Very, very young adult. And she's dressed in, at the moment, coveralls with like the top part pulled down and tied around her waist. And just like a tank top type shirt. And she is still underneath the computer console. And some more sparks start flying out as you enter the room.
Daisy, I thought you were removing this computer into your room.
Oh, hey, Cam. Yep, I was. Apparently the doctor was not half bad at computers, because there's a ton of not stock stuff in here. There's some third-party bullshit security systems in here.
I would just assume that they lied about everything they told us and expect the worst.
Yep. I already had to like get a band-aid. There's things that they will literally shock you on purpose just for trying to remove it.
That's a pretty standard security system, Daisy.
Yeah, but it's an asshole security system.
Are you not grounded?
And upon hearing another voice, she like just pushes herself out from under the things like, oh, you're new.
They were stuck to the outside of our ship. I'm sorry, I did not ask your name.
I was gonna say, weren't we in space?
Oh yeah.
We
totally
remained
are
in space, Daisy.
Lev.
Hi,
is my
hi,
name.
Lev. You're not here to like kill us or sabotage the ship or post impaled, decapitated stuffed animals on doors or anything like that, are you?
Huh.
It's concerning me that you're having to think about this that long.
No, I'm just thinking about how I've been asked that twice now, and you people seem very I mean, I've only met 2 of you so far, so who knows? No, I don't
We've
even
had
know
some
who
problems.
Okay, cool. I'm Daisy. I do computer stuff on the ship.
you are.
And Daisy, let's clarify. You tried to kill us first.
I mean, one time, and technically I just tried to make it so that it was easy for you to kill each other. I wasn't actually doing the killing, but yes, that was wrong. We've established this.
Lev, the chamber is this way.
Yeah, thanks. I was gonna ask.
Do you require food? Well, at this moment, you are organic. You obviously require food.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how long I was out there, so that would be dandy.
Do you have dietary restrictions? Humans seem to have those.
Nah.
I shall fetch protein and carbohydrates then.
Rockin'. Lev just like puts themselves in the isolate, like whatever. What is this chamber? This a room?
So it's like I think like your classic sci-fi brig kind of setting where it's
A medical quarantine room.
it's a small room with an open front, and there's like a force field that comes down to isolate it. The inside is a little bit nicer furnished than a brig. There's a medical bed, and it's actually quite nice in there. But
Imagine Lev is going to lay down and just pass out.
before you completely fall asleep or get too deep asleep, Daisy does call out and says, "Oh, I'm currently trying to get the hard drive out of this thing, so isolation room might have some glitches. Just a heads up." But it should be fine. You're not like sick or anything, right?
And Lev like checks their pulse, checks temperature, like does a bunch of self-check things, and is like, nah, chill.
All right, cool. So the force field will probably go up and down a little bit. Just don't stand in the opening when it comes up, and you'll be fine.
Your captain took my weapon anyway, so
Oh, I just meant because the force field would activate while you're standing in it, and then that would be really painful.
I'm gonna go pass out now.
And Daisy just does really awkward finger guns back at you. And then pulls herself back under the computer and starts swearing in a couple of different languages at the console.
Captain is desperately trying to look up what the term rockin' means.
And I think that's a good spot for a break. So we're gonna go to break. Go grab snacks, drinks, whatever you need. Stretch your legs, and then we'll be back in 15 minutes for the second half. Actually, before we do that, there's one brief moment. The camera is gonna pan back to the mess hall, where Rip is still sitting, and there is a heavily armed Seth at the door, and it's just the two of them staring at each other for a solid 30 seconds before the camera pans back, and then we're gonna go to break. So we'll be back
Seth,
in 15 minutes.
my guy. I love him.
That's a good boy.
And we're back. Sorry that poll was a little too short. Echolexi said 4 sessions before Rip loses it. But I kind of expect something else. Interesting. My best guess is 3, given how things are going so far. These guesses 2. That's amazing. All right. Well, Lev is in the infirmary with the malfunctioning stuff. Also with Daisy. Rip and Seth are in the mess hall, staring each other down. Annie and Sparky, and I think Billy, you all were on the bridge, is that right? And Captain, you were leaving the infirmary. So is everybody staying on the bridge? What's happening?
I think Sparky will wait on the bridge to see if Captain comes in there, and then if like 5 or 10 minutes passes and Captain doesn't come in, Sparky will head back to the mess.
Billy's heading towards the med bay after nobody shows back up at the, because she kind of wants to see what the new person is.
Okay. Well then, you head down there, and Daisy still has her the upper part of her torso buried in a computer, and Lev is, I presume, passed out on the medical bed.
Oh yeah, just like full out arm off the side of the bed, cold.
Currently, the force field is up. So what do you do walking into that scene?
Billy's careful and steps over Daisy because she's obviously busy doing something. Goes over to kind of like stare at the new person.
Yeah, Daisy doesn't seem to notice that you're there, or if she does, she doesn't say anything. She seems pretty focused on what she's doing. New person is asleep. Do you say anything? Or just stare?
Wow, they passed out real fast. How do they know they can trust us? She just says out loud, thinking Daisy knows she's there.
There is a sudden noise, followed by a motherfuck. Hi, Billy. Ow. What were you saying? Sorry, I didn't hear you come in. I think you're suddenly muted for some reason. There we go.
My apologies. I ended up... This is really, really tasty. Sorry, I'm having a hard time putting it down.
No worries. It sounded like a delicious dinner.
Note to self, carrot, onion, and eggplant make an amazing remoulade.
It sounds really good.
Yes. Sorry. I can... I'm sorry about that. I can be louder if you need me to be.
No, I didn't hear you come in, so I didn't know you were there. What did you say?
I was just kind of surprised that they were like able to fall asleep instantly. Like, how do they even know that they can trust you and stuff?
Daisy pushes herself out from under the computer, holding the back of her head. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just really chill, or maybe they were like ran out of oxygen or something, so they're really tired. Or, I mean, we're in space and we didn't.
Has anybody checked them for hypoxia?
Yeah, they like checked themselves, I guess, and said they were fine. But that would be my guess, since
you can't really check yourself for signs of hypoxia. It's like checking yourself for hypothermia while you have hypothermia.
Is that not a thing that you can do either?
Not generally.
I'm a hacker, not a doctor.
I'm a miner, not a doctor.
Okay.
It's just basic common sense, I thought.
I mean, maybe with minors? I don't know. I never really learned about that, but I kind of am self-taught on a lot of stuff, so maybe I just missed that book or something. But that's cool that you know that. Do you know how to check for it?
Uh, that's what you have a scanner for.
Yeah, about the scanner. So the doc put all sorts of security measures in here. Some of these I've never even seen before. I've seen most of them. And every time I try to fix it, something else breaks. And it's really pissing me off. But unfortunately, that means a lot of the systems are not working at the moment. I'm trying to put them back together.
I'm not, well, but you're not like the only computer person on here, though, right?
I mean, a lot of us are pretty good at computers. I'm really good at hardware stuff. Annie's good at, like, networking stuff.
Are you having fun with... Okay. Then why isn't she here helping you with this?
Because this is...
It sounds like you've got a dual hardware software problem going on.
She pulls out like a little device that's like literally a physical device. She's like, this was attached to the wiring. It's mostly hardware. I'm gonna need...
that's a teaching tool. Yeah. You can pretty much start ignoring them after a while. Like after about 20 shocks, you don't feel it anymore.
Are you okay?
Yeah. That's how you learn.
I mean, I guess I'd prefer not to be shocked that many times and lose feeling. That sounds bad.
Look, every time I say anything about me, everybody is just getting weird and saying it sounds bad and stuff.
I think it's just like a culture shock kind of thing. Like, I think we all had very different lived experiences than you've had, and so it seems strange. But that's not like necessarily like bad. It's just different, and so we don't really know how to react to it initially, I guess. But I mean, for me, losing that many, or having that many shocks and losing the ability to feel pain from it would be bad.
You don't really lose your ability to feel pain. You just get real good at ignoring it.
I guess that's fair. I want to figure out a way to avoid it altogether.
Oh, well, in that case, why aren't you, wearing something insulating on your hands?
Because that would be smart. I hyperfixate on problems a lot. So, sometimes I see a problem and I want to fix it, and that's all literally all I can think about. So things like insulated gloves, or sometimes even food, I just don't think about it until I'm done, or somebody points it out like you just did.
Did you eat anything when we were supposed to have, after the whole thing? We were supposed to be having a family meeting over dinner?
Yeah, dinner. What time is it?
Gives the time. It's 20 after dinner time.
Oh, I thought it was about 2 hours earlier. Yeah, I'm gonna go eat and get gloves. Thanks for pointing that out.
they're good to just like leave in there, right?
I mean, they seem asleep, and the force field's working for now, and so, like, they seem cool. I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean,
Okay.
unless they're actually here, like, as some sort of covered or come either kill or rescue Rip, or part of some convoluted plot to blow up the ship or something. That's probably not that.
So, on the Rips question, if you all don't trust him that much, why is he still on the ship? Why isn't he in the isolation ward behind the force field and stuff? If like, you guys must trust him a little bit that he's out and like stuff, right?
I think it's more that we trust that our interests are aligned so that it's more beneficial for him to not mess with us right now.
Oh, you're shareholders. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's like that. But also, like, just about everybody in the ship has been kind of awful at one point or another in our lives. Some worse than others, so...
But everybody here's been so nice.
Well, yeah, we're good now, but we kind of went through a lot to get to this point. I mean, I wiped everyone's memories and tried to get them to kill each other because they were really bad people, and I was very upset at my dad. I've grown a lot since then. I'm not going to do that again.
What? Pardon?
I mean, to be fair,
no,
like,
just all of it. Pardon. From the beginning again, please.
Yeah. So a lot of people on the crew were very different people before that happened, and they were like, you know, the bad guys. Like one of them was an assassin, and most of them worked for the cartel, and like it was all bad stuff. And then I was really upset and tried to wipe. I did wipe their memories, and that didn't quite go as exactly how I had planned, but that ended up being a good thing. And then they turned out to be really awesome people once their really horrible experiences and influences were gone. And then we all grew to be really cool people.
You realize how absolutely horrific it is that you just like deleted people.
Yes, this conversation has been had many times.
Okay. Cool. I'm going somewhere else. You scared me. Bye. And Billy leaves.
She just sort of waves like, bye. And Daisy just sets her tools down and sort of secures the computer, double checks the force field, and it's still on for now, and makes her way to the mess hall. What does the captain do after leaving the infirmary?
Go fetch protein and carbohydrates like she said she would.
Okay. Sorry, I just saw chat. Oh, these are horrible deep dark secrets, our evil past, our magical ethical quandaries. That's amazing. Yeah, you are able to grab food and
Now, was anyone in the mess hall? Like, I thought somebody was like going to the mess hall.
Rip's still there, and Seth is a heavily armed Seth is there, and they're both just staring each other down.
I think Sparky would have started heading back. Yeah.
Okay.
Captain like walks in and like slows her step between Seth and Rip, just kind of looking between them. Seth, did you need something from Rip?
Seth just keeps staring at Rip, doesn't look away. Just shakes his head, like, no, Nope, I'm good. I'm just, security.
Did somebody request it that you were here?
Not specifically, no.
Has he done something currently to warrant your presence?
And Seth just sort of like slowly sidesteps over to Captain and whispers, "It's like, that's Rip, right? Like, he normally does things that terrify us."
My visual sensors work fine, Seth. I'm well aware who that is.
Okay, just that seems like an odd question. Do you want me to leave him to his own devices while all of us are not in the room?
Does he appear to be doing something nefarious at this time?
I mean, no, but it's Rip.
Seth, I mean this kindly. What exactly would you do against Rip should he decide
I don't know, to shoot him?
to act against you?
Shoot him a lot? With, like, bullets?
Do you really believe that if a experienced, trained agent of the cartel truly wished you away, that you would be able to draw faster?
I mean, we took his gun, right?
He handed it to us willingly.
Yeah, so see, it's fine. Bullets are faster than people.
Seth, go do something productive.
And Seth just sort of like, his shoulders visibly slump a little. And he walks off, shaking his head and muttering.
Then Captain's going to look at Rip and say, though honestly, you deserve all of this.
He just scratches the back of his head, looks up to you, goes, I mean, frankly, I'm with the kid. It probably would be smart to have me under guard. I'd do that if it were me.
I could lock you in your room. Would you prefer that?
Oh, I didn't say I'd prefer that. I just said if it were me, I'd probably do that.
Mm.
But whatever you feel comfortable with.
I'm not a human man wearing a space duster, so I'm not you. Enjoy your coffee.
He just chuckles and shakes his head and goes back to drinking his coffee. Sparky, you mentioned you were heading that way too?
Yep.
Okay. You walk in on
Question,
that.
though, where is Liam in all this?
Yeah, Liam's been in his room.
Okay.
Fair.
Doesn't want to come out. He doesn't get to have supper. That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, and from the
Made it for the whole family.
and from the kitchen, you hear Captain say out loud, "Who is eating all the tomatoes so fast?"
Billy really likes them. She's eating them like fruit.
They are fruit.
Right, but like people don't usually eat them like that.
Is she simply just eating them? Well,
I mean, I'm assuming she's eating them. Is that weird?
no, usually humans seem to be very particular about their seasonings on food, but whatever she likes. What contains protein?
I assume we're still talking about food.
Technically, yes.
Okay.
What would I
there's
feed to a human that contains protein?
meat, probably, or like tofu, nuts, maybe.
If you had been floating in the void of space for a prolonged period of time, what would you eat?
Peanut butter sandwich.
Do we have those?
Yeah. So Sparky will go over and start making a peanut butter sandwich.
Awesome. Probably roughly around that time, Daisy walks in. Before I do that, Annie, what are you getting up to during all of this?
That is a very good question. Annie is probably doing stuff which I had not been thinking of because I was too busy enjoying the conversation that was happening.
Well, that's a good sign, at least that the conversation has been interesting.
I was too involved with everything else that was happening that I forgot that I was supposed to be also playing. Annie, I don't really think there's anything big that she's working on right now. So,
She had gone to the bridge, right?
yeah, she was hanging out on the bridge. I think she stayed there for a little while, just when everybody left to kind of chillax and, check the readings and maybe, I don't know, she's maybe looking up more stuff related to any whispers or things that might give them some indication that, other people have caught wind of the like factory or whatever it is. Just kind of busy work, I suppose.
Okay. You do get a little notification from Alice that mentions he's going to be at Fuel at Matt's in the near future. Just as a sort of a heads up if you wanted to meet with him.
Hell yeah. Yeah, she sends a message back to just let her know exactly when he's going to be there, and she will let the crew know.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you want to have Annie doing, or anywhere that you want to move her in this situation?
She did not have the chance to eat, so she's probably going to go grab something and then leave.
All right. So you're probably getting there right around the same time that Daisy does. Daisy gives you a wave and walks in, sees what Sparky's making, and goes, "Ooh, that sounds good. I forgot to eat. I also forgot it was dinner."
There's tons of stuff on the table. Like, I'll probably start cleaning up in like 20 or 30 if no one else is coming in to eat, but I'll put it in the fridge.
Okay. Yeah. Dinner. Probably a better idea. She plops down at the table right across from Rip and just gives him a death glare as she starts making a plate of food.
This is like, did you ever have like a box or a piece of furniture that was just in the way in your house and everyone that walks in just kind of gives it a customary kick on the way in?
Yeah.
It's kind of what I feel like we're doing to Rip.
You're not wrong.
About what Daisy did, Billy is really confused about how y'all are treating Rip.
So is like almost everyone in the mess again then?
Yeah, I
think
think
a bunch of us are back, yeah.
Except for Billy, yeah, and Seth and Liam.
Then Captain's just gonna say, the person that was on our ship is now currently in the ship. She is in the isolation chamber. I believe she is asleep at this point. She is unarmed. Her name is Lev.
What's the deal?
At this point, I don't know. They were exhausted. They do not seem fully coherent at this time, probably from exhaustion.
Is that who the sandwich is for?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sparky will like hand it over on a plate to Captain.
Daisy, with her mouth half full, goes, "Yeah, I seem pretty chill."
She does not seem hostile, but as precaution, of course, and I do not know what they've been exposed to at this time. They're under isolation.
That's probably a good idea. I'm going to reserve judgment until I meet them, and doing a quick side glance over to Rip, I'm wary given their current situation.
Annie speaks up at this point, and she's like, yeah, well, she hasn't tried to shoot anyone yet, so
Yet.
there's that.
There's a big yet there, though.
I'll
You're
take
right.
my chances, Spark. I think at this time.
Oh, and to clarify, it's not that she came unarmed. I simply have her guns.
Well, did you have to fight her for them?
No, she handed them over willingly. Otherwise, she knew I would probably just leave her to die.
It'd be weird if you landed on someone's ship in the middle of space and you didn't have guns, to be honest.
She didn't seem to know where she was, so I do not believe we were targeted.
We always get the weird stuff. And Sparky will sit down at the table and start dishing themselves out.
Daisy
I'll
does.
return.
Daisy does speak up at that point. And goes, "Oh yeah, speaking of weird, Billy was acting kind of weird. Talking about, the space cowboy over here, and I just mentioned."
Maurice?
God, I wanted to say it, but I
Amazing.
I got you. I got this.
Amazing. Just yeah, we were talking about Space Cowboy over here, and Billy just seemed confused as to why we were, trusting Rip. But I just mentioned, that, we've all got our weird histories, and that I did some bad stuff, and we all grow, and we're cool people now, and sometimes you have to give people a chance to be cool people and grow from their mistakes.
Days.
Yeah?
How much did you tell Billy?
Oh, just like the summary that, everybody used to be bad people, but now you're not, and I did a bad thing.
Nothing I did was under my own consent.
I didn't say everyone was bad people. I just said a lot of us.
You didn't think...
I didn't mention who was who. Or like the specifics.
It's kind of like saying that this whole room's dangerous, but you won't know who.
Well, obviously we're different people.
Yeah, but she didn't need to know any of that.
Annie, with food in her mouth, just goes, one of these Smarties in this bowl here is poison, but you don't know which one. Just keeps eating.
Daisy, who is also still eating, has half mouth half full, goes, "That's very obviously the one in that cowboy hat."
Okay, well, hopefully she doesn't just ditch the ship in the middle of space if she is leaving. I hope she's not leaving, but if she is leaving, I hope she doesn't just...
I mean, that seems like something she probably needs to know anyways if she's gonna part of the crew.
Yes, but maybe with the tiniest bit more tact, Daisy. At a designated time and place. It's like if Rip just went up to her and said, "Hey, I used to train and brainwash this one and then clone them, and then we just got rid of the clones if they weren't good."
I mean, I didn't say we did anything that bad. I was trying to bond, and it came up organically.
It's okay. Just talk to her.
See, this is why I mostly work with computers. I will give her some time to process, and then I will try to be more tactful, I guess.
With another mouthful of food, Annie goes, well, if she's gonna jump ship, I think maybe we should give her a new outfit because she's been wearing those same clothes for forever. That doesn't seem clean. But I mean, yeah, Daisy, if you want to give it a few days, go lift yourself.
Yeah, we should do a shopping trip.
Yeah, that actually sounds good.
Yeah, maybe pick up something a little less obvious for certain members of the crew. Maybe a little less rustic. Really? A duster in space? With the boots and everything?
Rip just shrugs.
With the fur.
Well, he is a lowlife, so. Oh god. Yeah, Rip just shrugs and it's like, it's. I got used to wearing it when I lived on Mars, and it's comfortable, and
It's also really identifiable. At least I change my garish outfits.
Under Annie's breath, she just goes, "Yeah, you look like a jackass."
Just saying, if you're going to be tagging along, you either better stay out of sight, or maybe try a little bit of the, cognito where you go into it.
he just shrugs and takes a sip from his coffee with the mug like half up to his face. He's like, snuck on your ship with this duster on.
In a spacesuit, Rip.
Spacesuit seems way more conspicuous than a duster.
Not in space.
We're
Rip.
literally in space, Rip.
No wonder we always got the best of you. God.
He just shrugs.
Yeah, Sparky will just go back to eating. Like, maybe occasionally get a glance at Annie like, can you believe this clown?
Fucking guy.
Literally, Annie carries that same energy every time. She's like, "Can you fucking believe this?" Just like the pure look on her face.
Sorry, I just looked at Zoom chat. The conversation's happening about what's going on with Rip is very funny. Anywho, Captain, you were going to check on your new passenger. Is Lev still asleep when Captain walks in, or awake?
Presumably asleep. I don't know how long it's been at this point. How long has it been at this point?
Maybe half an hour.
Okay. Presumably still asleep then.
Okay. So, Captain, what do you do when you walk in?
Is the force field still up?
Currently, it is not.
Captain, of course, then just like stares at the lack of force field and then walks into the cell and sets the sandwich down. And then
Just for kicks and giggles. Yep, I rolled for it. As you turn around, the force field comes back up.
God! Captain sends a text to Daisy. Daisy,
Yes, Captain?
come to the med bay now.
So Daisy in the mess hall, to everyone else, gets a text, types something, and then with like a roll shoved in her mouth, just as quick, work, and takes her plate to the med bay. A couple minutes later, she walks in with half a roll now, and goes, "Oh, was it intentional for you to be in there with the force field up, or is it glitching again?" I'm gonna guess it's glitching.
Correct.
Yep, 1 second. Sorry about that. And she goes to
Judy,
the.
that face journey. Somebody has got to gift that, please.
That was a great face, definitely. If somebody wants to clip that, that would be amazing. So she walks up to one of the panels next to the wall and opens it up, fiddles with a couple things, and then the force field comes down.
Thank you, Daisy. Now put it back, and steps out. Now put it back up, please.
She puts it back. She's like, "Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to eat, so I figured I should do that since I'm working on sensitive electronical equipment, but I got most of the security things out, I think." And she points to the table where there's like 6 of those little devices just laid out. Like 3 of them have charred ends on them.
Effective. Well, yes. Get nourishment, whatever you need, but please make sure this force field stays up. It's for the safety of everyone.
Yep.
Including her, and she nods to Lev.
I'd like to, at this moment, take a voice rise up, like, that's mighty kind of you.
Oh, I'm sorry if we woke you.
Oh, it's fine. Oh, is this for me?
It is. I was informed that a peanut butter sandwich would be adequate for now for starting after floating in space.
I mean, I'm not going to complain, but who puts only peanut butter on a sandwich? And immediately begins to just devour it.
Do you require anything more? Water?
Yeah, especially now, water would be great.
Do you want milk? I can get you some milk instead.
Sure. Yes, milk, water. I don't really care. More importantly, I was in space for a long time. Supervised. Could I have use of your medical facilities to do some checks on myself? Because I just realized I was probably getting a little there. And I want to make sure I'm not dying.
Certainly, Daisy. Are our scanners usable yet?
So, the good news is all of the equipment works. Bad news is that none of the automated systems are working, so you'll have to use them manually.
Who trusts these automated systems?
Unfortunately, I don't know if any of us have any adequate medical training to do so.
No worries there. I can handle it myself.
Oh, good.
Oh. Fantastic. Please ignore the scribblings in this room. Our last doctor, unfortunately, had a bit of a crisis. But do not worry, they are no longer present.
Okay. Hey.
You can visually see that Daisy was going to say something, and then when Captain phrases it as no longer present, kind of gives that little sort of oh face and just shuts up.
Yeah, I don't think Captain's gonna be like, don't worry, they got shot in the face, it's not our problem anymore.
Cool.
There's a comm system in this room. If you need anything, simply ask for the captain.
That a name or a title?
Yes.
Cool. And this one was, brain's a bit fuzzy, but this one was Daisy, yeah?
Oh, yeah, I'm Daisy.
Lev. And so with, I guess, supervised permission or whatever Lev go about checking their own vitals and stuff.
Daisy leaves to go get a beverage for Lev. Yeah, all the equipment works, and you're able to scan, and you seem slightly malnourished and dehydrated, but otherwise doing okay.
Excellent. Almost out of oxygen, but not.
Yeah. It wasn't enough to, like, cause major problems. It was just, if you'd been out there much longer, it would have been.
Yes. I was just looking up the effects of hypoxia and then anoxia. Fun.
Very.
I love Jay in the chat. You'll be under supervision. Supervisor leaves.
Oh, if you think...
I'll just say the captain, like, turned her back to give her some privacy.
I thought you were talking about...
Left, so.
No, I thought you were talking about Daisy for a second. I was like, if you think Daisy's supervising someone...
That's what I thought. I was like, you'll be under supervision. Cap just leaves like... Child.
It's like, have you seen the last 4 seasons? Daisy's not supervising anyone. Not well. Oh my
Daisy's the one
God.
that requires supervision.
Most of the time, yes. Oh my goodness. So yeah, you do all those and you find out that information. Daisy eventually comes back with some, like, a glass of water and a glass of milk and just sets them both down and then goes back to trying to fix the computer.
Daisy, why would she require a glass of milk? Water is hydrating.
Yeah, but with peanut butter, milk's just the best with peanut butter.
Why?
Good amount of nutritional value in there too to help bolster my systems. I probably could use some amount of fat right now. And level just like in one. I'm gonna do the water or the milk and then the water immediately after. It's like
Oh yeah, I guess Lev doesn't know about Captain's issue with dairy products.
Oh yeah. I forgot about
the
that.
hilarious thing is that I IRL am vegan and so I have issues with dairy products.
No, Captain's very weirded out by the human consumption of the dairy of other animals.
Yeah, it's super weird. It's
The
very
real
strange.
question is it actually milk?
I mean,
milk.
given that it was probably a powdered substance to start with, it's probably got like some dairy product in it, but it's probably not mostly milk.
I can't believe it's not milk.
It's
No way
like
to
I can believe it's not milk.
it's milk flavored, like protein drink, probably.
You know what you don't want
Disgusting.
is milk flavored soda, because that exists.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
That's cursed.
It's horrible.
It's actually quite
Oh,
tasty,
the
especially if you like kefir. It's bitter and sour as hell, though. Do not expect it to be creamy or sweet.
Yeah, no. So anyways,
So, Captain,
Yes.
forgive me, I was out there for a while. Can you tell me whereabouts we are in the system?
Yeah, GM, can I tell her whereabouts we are in the system?
yeah, you're still in the soul system. Probably.
Are we still near Mars-ish?
You're probably a little ways from Mars by this point. Let me look at my map here.
Where is the Tundric Rim again?
That is way out on the edge of what's the word I'm looking for? Cultivated space. So the newest terraformed planets are on the Tundric Rim. You've got the Exteriores Rim before that, and then before that you've got some other planetary systems and the Centauri system, and then you've got the Sol system, which is Earth and everything else.
Fuck was I dropped?
Probably in the Sol system, not too far away from Mars. But
Where-
from what I recall of what we discussed, most of your like work was in the Tundric Rim.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we might have been in for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Resupply run or something like that. So yeah, you're probably near the Pezzo Station 329, which is like a big outlet mall sort of place.
Okay.
I was gonna
Um,
sorry.
I was just going to say, our last point of contact was Mars within the Sol system.
I was gonna kind of think for a bit. I think it's this absolutely outraged look on their face and goes, "That son of a bitch!"
I take it you were not drifting by your own desire.
Motherfucker spaced me! Oh, if I ever fucking see her. Pressure. Sorry. I'm fine. What kind of crew, what you guys do? What sort of ship have I landed upon?
Not a harmful one. As to what we do at this point, what we do is whatever we feel the need to. I
I've
grow
worked with
plants.
mercs before. Oh. All right. Yeah.
But that is not what I was designed to do. Many of us are working with what we were and what we have decided to become.
I meant like professionally.
Professionally, we take work where we can get it.
Cool. I've worked with mercs before. So I'm not assuming that that's what you are.
That would be a term for us, correct?
Yeah, like odd jobbers.
We are
thank
not
you.
particularly violent,
Always
unless provoked.
seems decent policy. Thank you for, saving my life.
Certainly. Thank you for not denting my hull.
I didn't really have a lot of choice in the matter, honestly. I was kind of unconscious.
Well, for now, if you don't mind remaining within isolation.
Absolutely. I don't know if you care, but my vitals do seem to be fine, so you don't have to worry about me dying or nothing in there.
Useful. Otherwise, we would simply vent you again.
Cool. Hope is an insensitive. Other humans besides the other one?
There are several humans aboard the ship, correct? I am the only one that is not.
From under the computer, you just hear kind of muffled, like, well, there's Rip.
The captain just glances down and says, Rip, regardless of many of the opinions of the people on this ship, is also a human. Just currently not a well-liked one.
Crew politics. I'm going back into the quarantine room now.
Excellent choice. Do you require any form of sleep aid?
Oh no, I slept in much worse. That's actually quite nice in there.
Great.
Cool. Just goes back into the room. And sits
Captain
on the
just
bed.
activates the force field.
It comes
Let
back
us
up.
know if you need anything.
Is there a comm in the isolation room?
Yeah, there is.
Yes.
Okay. Will do.
Ecuador Lex in chat just said, it's been a conversation when a prisoner is saying, I'll go to my cell now.
Captain has that effect on people.
I was spaced and then rescued, and then immediately the android captain begins telling me about intercrew drama. And that their
Captain
last
doesn't
doctor
understand the
was a little
concept of
crazy.
Oversharing. we tend to be oversharers a little bit, I think.
Thanks, it's the trauma.
Yep.
Ain't no bonding like trauma bonding.
Right. All right. So who's still in the mess hall at this point? Is that everyone else? Billy is
Billy
somewhere.
deliberately waited till Daisy was done in the mess hall before he's going in there for food.
All right. So we've got Billy, Sparky, and it sounds like Annie in the mess hall with Rip. Does anyone want to talk about the plan?
Well, this food is really good.
Food words.
Falcon picture is the
Billy doesn't even know that there was a big plan going to be made, so she's just eating.
Captain finally comes back into the mess hall.
Cap. What are your thoughts on the plan that we should talk about?
At this point, we're in the process of deciphering the doctor's notes. It would be helpful for us to know what they were up to before they just decided to betray us. They could have useful information. Also, I believe we should look more into what was going on around Mars.
Yeah, Rip, what was going on around Mars?
Well, there was the whole video thing that I sent you, or that I showed you. That was kind of the thing going on Mars.
What video thing?
Did everyone see the video?
Billy didn't.
Rip just looks at Billy for a minute, then looks at Cap and goes, I'm gonna let you handle that one, Cap.
Yeah, Cap, I think that's up to you. It's particularly graphic.
Billy, we can speak later in your quarters if you would prefer.
Okay.
So video aside, what else? Are we going anywhere? Are we just gonna stick around Mars for a bit, do you think?
Is there anywhere we need to travel to?
Well, Annie had a really, really good idea, and Sparky's gonna like bump elbows with Annie, like of going on at the, some sort of trip. What was it, Annie?
Annie looks at Sparky and she's just like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Cool. I see how it is. Okay.
I'm
Shopping
kidding.
trip
I'm kidding.
for-
My
Oh,
goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Sparky, come on.
Listen,
We've been
if you
through
gave
this
me-
so many times. You'd think that you'd have caught on by now.
Annie, if you gave me any colder of a shoulder, you would be in space. Just saying, it's hard to read.
Considering the circumstances, I'm surprised people get upset by the humor I make.
Well, yours kind of makes sense, though. And also, you're usually just disappointed in me, so. At least it's like constant.
I'm not disappointed in you, Sparky. I'm disappointed in your actions at times, but not you.
Annie, what was your idea? No, Sparky is clearly not sure how to process that.
Sorry, did I parrot too hard on that?
No, it's like my actions aren't. Wait, what? They're set. What?
Yeah, you know what? Let's go for a little shopping trip. I think it's been a while since we've situated, kind of brought ourselves together, what with now being down one old crew member and up a new one, which is interesting. We'll I'm sure we'll get back to that, but let's get some new clothes for Billy, I think, first of all, because she's been wearing the same thing every day I've known her, and it's unfortunate. So maybe if we just regroup, decompress, kind of get things back on the road and go from there.
We're near a Pezzo station. Shall I route there?
Yeah.
As Annie mentions the getting Billy a new outfit, Rip, coffee mug in hand, just kind of holds it halfway between the table and his mouth. It's like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be conspicuous. Then takes a drink from his mug.
And he looks directly at him and goes, yes, precisely. And then just goes about the conversation again.
Kick rocks, cowboy.
rootin' tootin' cowboy motherfucker. Like, now's not the time.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Captain like glances down at her own like dress and is like, "Oh no." But then just walks off to the bridge to make a heading.
All right. Is there anything else that anyone would like to do before we wrap up?
Well, Alex went AFK for a second. I was going to say, should we have the conversation? Are we going to have that talk?
Oh, you should probably have that talk.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Sorry. Terribly sorry. I thought I'd mentioned soon enough. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. You're good.
Guts are being bad tonight. Sorry about that.
No.
I understand. So far, the plan is to go on a shopping trip to the Pezzo station that you're nearby.
Discovers atrocities, goes shopping.
Yeah, that's kind of our response. Yeah. We're going to the beach.
Billy has no idea why a video has to do anything with shopping in a private conversation with Captain, but okay. Shopping, yay. She has no money.
That'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So do you want to have that conversation?
I mean, if she's supposed to have an opinion on things, that yeah, she'd rather be informed than not.
Okay. So after Captain makes the routing, and is it Liam that does the piloting too, or Seth?
Liam does a lot of the piloting. Yeah.
She'll make the heading and then tell Liam, just what the general direction plan is, and say, I need to go have a conversation with someone.
Okay. Liam acknowledges that and pilots.
Where's Billy?
Billy is headed to her room to wait for the captain, since she said that she wanted to have the conversation in Billy's room, so.
Alright, so I guess Captain meets her there?
The few things that have been given to Billy are all like laid out in their own like special spots around the room.
Fantastic. So Captain offers for Billy to sit down on her bed or whatever.
Oh, okay. Billy's looking very confused about this, but sits down.
Billy, you're aware that the modifications made to you were by corporations, correct?
Very aware, yes. That's why I got out of there.
Well, those same corporations, this video has pointed out to us, even though they've already stepped over a very distinct ethical line, they have made a flying leap over the next distinct ethical line.
Oh, no. It's brains in jars, isn't it? I mean, that's the only logical next step.
In a sense, I wish it was.
How could it be worse than brains in jars?
They have flash-cloned living individuals and are using them as their soldiers. They're placing them in android bodies.
So they're not even like giving them a chance to be people? Because I met a clone now. Their name's Sparky, and they're very much a person.
Correct. Sparky is very much a person and has been given the opportunity to be a person. These ones are not. Yeah. They are sent to die, and they are sponsored through money of individuals.
How can we save them?
We are trying to figure that out. And we don't know how deep this goes.
I want to help.
I appreciate that, Billy, and I'm sure we will find a way for you to help. But we did not think it was right to just simply blurt that out in front of somebody who has already been a victim of their malpractice.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I need to. I think I need to think about this for a little while, if that's okay.
Of course. We are going on a shopping trip. I believe they mentioned they wish to purchase you new clothing.
But these clothes aren't, like, unwearable yet. They provide adequate coverage.
True, but humans, and myself as well, have adopted the idea that clothing is form and function. You wear things because you like to. Before I wore things like this, I wore jumpsuits, skin-fitting jumpsuits. I did not like them.
Why would a jumpsuit be skin tight? That just, like, that doesn't that just remove the usefulness of a jumpsuit?
Billy, do you know what I was built for?
I mean, probably some sort of, like, service android. I know Daisy. By the way, how are you all mad at Rip after what Daisy did? She erased people.
We were very angry at Daisy.
She just, like, erased whole people.
She was nearly killed.
Yeah. She's still alive and you're okay with her, but you're all really upset at Rip, and it sounds like he just killed people.
For him, I believe a lot of the rage that is directed towards him comes from, yes, he did kill people. He even tried to kill some of us. But also he had very complicit activity with the cartel. What Sparky is had to do with Rip.
Yes, but weren't all of you also? I mean, like, wasn't Annie, like, an assassin or something?
Oh, no, Annie's not an assassin. She worked in information.
Then who's the assassin?
Well, I suppose you'd have to ask which one.
There's multiple assassins?
Yes. I will not go into detail, but Sparky. They worked as an assassin.
Like, jumps if you sneeze too loud, Sparky?
Correct.
She's still, like, killing people is one thing. It's bad. It's not always the greatest thing, but whatever. But, like, you're consciously deciding to erase multiple people just so you could watch them kill each other.
Part of, I believe, what she did had to do with her own loss. And also, do understand that she is a child. And at the time, she was a child.
How old is Daisy?
20, I believe.
How old was Daisy when she did this?
18 or 19, I believe.
Okay. I mean, what did y'all do? Like kill her parents?
Essentially. One of them. We believe. No confirmation on that.
I think I need a nap. I'm just gonna sleep for a little while, Captain.
Do you need to know who the other assassin is? Or would that make it worse?
Seth?
Seth worked for the cartel, but no.
I mean, who didn't work for the cartel on the ship, if I can ask that?
Work for and enslaved are two different things.
Yes.
Then it was me.
Okay. That's good.
But I'm also the other assassin, Billy.
Then why would they need things like what they're making if they have you? Or they can make someone like you?
Because they no longer can. I am, fortunately for everyone else, unique. And just slowly, like she raises her arms and very slowly extends the blades.
Oh, that's why you asked if there was any weapons in my arms.
Correct. The technology would not be difficult to replicate. But to have it to the extent of me is not going to happen.
No, you're like one of the most complex AIs I've ever met. Like, honestly, talking to you, you would pass the Turing test with no problem.
It doesn't know what a tomato is, but knows what the Turing test is.
Yes, because she's had to work with AIs. Sometimes they're real stupid.
I'm so sad.
I do not remember my creator, but I do believe they made me that way intentionally.
That's kind of cruel of them, though, to like give you this much of who you are as yourself and then made you a weapon.
I was designed to be a weapon, but I was designed to be a thinking weapon. What the cartel did to me was the cruel part.
Okay.
They changed my programming enough that I could not say no to an order.
Ew. That is some serious slave chain commands.
By definition, correct. When all of us woke up on the ship with our memories gone because of Daisy, I was simply made captain because nobody else wished to be. I was directed to be captain.
They didn't give you a choice in the matter?
At the point, for me, a choice would have been a moot point. Choice had to be reprogrammed into me.
And you all look at me when I start talking about things. I mean, just listen to it.
Human trauma is unique, and human trauma is a strange thing. We grow so accustomed to our own that another person
I'm not talking about the human trauma. I'm also talking about whatever trauma you have now, like, made real, too, because you've got some, too.
Oh, absolutely. But I have my garden.
Does it help?
I believe so.
Can I learn how to garden, too?
Of course.
Thanks. I'm gonna go and sleep now.
An accurate choice.
Could you leave my room?
Yes. And
Thanks.
so she leaves.
That was amazing.
Sorry. Like Billy just like yelling from but my stuff was bad.
Oh, oops, all trauma.
I feel like whenever Lev learns stuff is like, I'm a medical doctor, not a therapist.
Right? Like
I'm fully anticipating that conversation. All right, well, that seems like a good spot to wrap it up. So next week we'll do our shopping trip and come up with a plan, and then we'll probably fast forward a bit. to catch up with where Violent has left off. That was fantastic. I definitely missed this story. It's so good. We're going to go on a raid here shortly, but before we do, I want to let everybody say what their favorite part was, where we can find them, and anything they'd like to share or plug, and then we'll go on a raid. And we'll go reverse order from how we started. So, Goody, we'll start with you.
Favorite part? Yes. I don't know. I'd have to say one of my favorite parts was Sparky's reaction to, no, I'm not disappointed in you, just your actions are disappointing sometimes. And just them realizing, oh God, they're separate. But no, I've missed this so much. I've missed the story, I've missed the crew, and I'm excited to have Lev be part of the crew as well. But yeah, I'll be here next week.
Awesome. Speaking of Lev, Hannah, what was your favorite part? Where can folks find you? Anything you want to share or plug?
I really enjoyed the conversation between Captain and Seth. It was just very fun. And I'm really excited to get to be a part of this crew and see how this all works out and actually meet more people next week. As for where you can find me, I will be back with Raven for our first episode of Avatar next week, which should be streaming on the Black Feather YouTube channel. We're very excited. That'll be noon Mountain Time next Friday, so definitely don't miss it. We are doing some pre-Aang melting out of the ice shenanigans, and it's gonna be great.
I'm very looking forward to that.
Oh, me too. I was sad that we missed it, but I'm glad that you got the time to rest.
Oh, same. Yeah, that was a super bad pain day yesterday.
Aww.
But I'm feeling much better today. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The characters in that, it coincidentally lined up that we have one from each nation, and it's gonna be great. Next we've got Canned. What's your favorite part? Where can folks find you? Anything you want to share or plug?
I think one of my favorite parts was the fact that Vanessa has been laughing too damn hard to say much of anything this entire time. Just like random
funny.
little
What can I
messages,
say?
like, I can't stop laughing. Oh, sorry, I talked over you. Didn't mean to.
I'm here to be
Oh,
the
do
straight
you
man
mean
to
me?
your whole.
Yes.
Oh, I just said y'all are too funny. Like I just can't. If I unmute myself, it'll just be laughing the whole time.
Other than that, I don't know. It's just getting to see all of y'all's reaction when I drop just a teeny tiny bit of like the absolute horrible living conditions Billy grew up in, and her kind of realizing that she's actually like better off than most of you. And she's also kind of horrified by that realization at this point because of how horrified y'all keep reacting to her. Like, what's this thing? It's delicious. That's a tomato. Tomato. It's like, sure. It's like, holy crap, these are awesome. And yes, the eating the tomato like an apple thing is something she has inherited directly from me because that is something I used to do with my grandparents' greenhouse. Go out, grab a giant tomato, and eat it.
It was really weird trying to not think that was normal because I do the same.
Apparently, most people eat tomatoes with a fork and knife.
Mm-hmm.
It weirds me the fuck out.
I don't eat tomatoes raw, so
I
Pork.
grew up in the South, so yeah, just slice them thick and then put a little mayonnaise and pepper on them and then eat them with a fork.
Okay. I mean, I'm not surprised about the mayo.
It's the South.
It's not the area for mayo.
Yep. It's not bad.
If it includes the name ranch in it, it probably involves mayo.
Ranch and mayo are different. Ranch is the best thing ever.
The
It's
mayo
also
belt,
got
yes.
mayo.
Pretty much all ranch dressing includes mayo, though. I guarantee
Yeah.
that.
I didn't have a whole lot of ranch stuff growing up, but definitely mayo. And I mean, it's basically like part of the ingredients out of a BLT. It's just on its own.
It's well, mayo is one of the like base sauces from French cooking. It's like alongside bechamels.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, where can we find you other than here?
Yes, sorry, I am
You're good.
way off pace. Oh my god. You can find me Neon Devils on Webtoons. We're going to be posting another page tomorrow. It's a webcomic I helped do art for and world building stuff for. You can also find me on Can Chaos Art at Twitter, where sometimes I post art. And then back here again next week.
Awesome. Yeah, I also was off on that tangent. The tomatoes are just great. Also, I was going to comment, have been really enjoying the, like, it's like you both have this giant ice cream cone of trauma, but they're different flavors, and it's like, what's that flavor like? The back and forth has been fun to watch. Next we've got V. What was your favorite part? Where can folks find you? Anything you want to share, plug?
Hands down, favorite part, any scene with Lev in it. It's been really, really fun this session to, and I know you said that you're kind of trying to figure them out and where to go from here, but the experimentation, the just blow, the go with it, it's been absolutely hilarious. And I love Lev's scene so far. So you're doing wonderful. Super happy to have you join us this season. And I can't wait for you to see what an absolute shit show we are. There's always something happening, so I'm really excited to see how Lev deals with that. But definitely glad to have you. Other than that, just the kind of where do we go now that rips on the ship, and I think it's going to involve a lot of passive aggressiveness from Annie. That's for sure. But yeah, then kind of I'm looking forward to the skip to where we kind of match up where everything was last season. And then getting to see Alice come into our setting, that will be real fun. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll be here next Saturday. You can also find me online. I have an art Twitter, which is at PepperoDraws. Pepper like the candy, just below my name card there. And then, like Alex said, for the Neon Devils webtoon, check that out. 100% super cool. I work on the lettering, so the text bubbles. That's your girl. I do that. And then some of the coloring as well. So check it out. It's really fun. And that's me.
Awesome. Next, we've got Jay. What was your favorite part? Where can folks find you? Anything you want to share or plug?
My favorite bit is tough to say. I think I probably have two. The first being, I'm so happy, and I hope Hannah, it was everything you wanted for how Lev was introduced to the game. Because we've been talking about it since session 0, and like in between that, when Hannah and I were chatting, I'm like, I just want to see Lev beam onto the ship.
Honestly, the image in my head was hitting the windshield or something.
Same. Yeah, just like, boop. Just all I could picture was Annie and I looking out, and it's Captain talking, and all we see is our like feet dangling over the viewport. But it was a joy seeing Lev come into it and kind of be nonchalant even after the hypoxia had worn off. The other thing I loved was just, like I said earlier, just everyone getting a chance to really kick that can down the road with a rip. Just really give him some wear and tear. Yeah. Other than that, you can find me here again next Saturday. I don't really exist anywhere else. Twitter is a wasteland unless I'm retweeting this show, and itch.io. Keep your eyes peeled sometime this year, and I'll actually make an announcement when there's a thing, but I won't say any more than that.
Awesome. And that just leaves me, my favorite part. The whole thing was a lot of fun. It's hard to pick a favorite. I definitely enjoyed all the moments with Lev. Those were great. I really enjoyed the oversharing moment with Daisy and Billy, and Billy's reaction. That was a lot of fun.
Good luck ever getting Billy to ever feel safe around Daisy.
She's getting used to it by now. But yeah, that was really fun. That reaction. Getting to play Daisy again was a lot of fun. I've missed that character for the last 4 months or so. And Seth too, with the Rip's on the ship, right? That was a lot of fun. And yeah, I also enjoyed everyone's reactions to Rip. And Rip just sort of taking everything in stride and being kind of nonplussed. And also Rip's like, how does all of this work?
I half expected, like, when we sat down to that dinner at last, for Rip to like look around and be like, wait, you don't actually plan? Holy shit, you've been doing it on pure luck this entire goddamn time?
Yep. It's like watching a supercomputer spit out calculations and you pull back the curtain and you see a little hamster running on a wheel. And Rip's just like, the fuck? Oh yeah, Hekanorlax brought up a fun point. The fascinating that Billy is way more scared of Daisy because erasing people is worse than killing people.
I said in chat, I feel like killing people is a way more permanent way of erasing them.
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective on it.
On that is erasing people means you can keep their bodies working for you. It's making you work after death. That is how Billy sees that.
That's interesting. I mean, that is true. Though for Daisy, it was, I want you to work long enough to kill each other. So it was killing people just with like a couple extra steps. But yeah, I do find the perspective really interesting. And I love seeing everyone's different perspective on the horrible things that happen in this galaxy. Oh god, Jay, that's amazing. Killing in the name of. Ooh, I have definitely missed Absentis. This has been great. But yeah, those are my favorite parts. But the whole session was amazing, and you're all wonderful. And I'm very much looking forward to next week. Where you can find me next. Tuesday, right back here at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Our Champions of the Fae campaign, where I will be playing Jinx, a 6-inch tall sprite spell sniper warlock who rides around on a raven and is just chaos incarnate. I love her so much. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Friday, we've got our YouTube Fridays, which will be noon at Mountain Time on our YouTube channel for Avatar, before the ice melted, and then at 6 p.m. Mountain Time for Welcome to Madison, which is a surreal horror game, also running on Fundamental RPG. So yeah, that's everything coming up over the next week. Other things to share or plug are our sponsors, which I will get into chat here. The first one being something that I've mentioned quite a lot already, which is Fundamental RPG. It's a system that powers Animus. It is a simple D20 system, and it's not tied to a genre. It is... there's a phrase for that my brain just poofed.
Genre agnostic?
Thank you, that's the word I was looking for. Genre agnostic. So you can use it to play games like this, which are very heavily sci-fi. You can use it for high fantasy, if you want like classic D&D style tabletop games. You can use it for that, and everything in between. We've used it for Phasmophobia style game and all sorts of stuff.
Where you had 3 different timelines running at the same time was probably the most stretched this system has gotten.
Oh, that was way back on first edition too. We're on to second edition of it. That was a wild one.
It handled fantasy really well when we played Standing Stones.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very versatile. It's a lot of fun, and it's really quick and easy to pick up. This is what it looks like. It's not super thick, so you can pick it up and read it, get acquainted with it really easily, and start writing your games on whatever story that you want to tell. But you can pick it up on Amazon if you want the physical book, or if you prefer digital copies, you can pick up the PDF at coffee.com/Raven, like it's spelled at the top and bottom left-hand corners of the screen. And that is one sponsor. The other is Die Hard Dice. They sell incredible polymer and metal dice sets and accessories. They are tongue-tied. They are by far my favorite dice company. They were my favorite before they were a sponsor. But I highly recommend checking out the Fairy set. It's a 7-piece RPG set. There's a link to it straight in chat. But they look like this. If the green screen doesn't pick up too much of the green, it's a green tone with pastel rainbow underneath and lots of glitter. They're very fun to roll because they sparkle. Highly recommend that set. And then if you use the code FUNRPG, all one word with capital letters, you can get 10% off of your entire order. And then if you want to catch up on this show, which there are 53 episodes to catch up on, I think it's something like 300 plus hours of content. I think at this point, yeah, you can catch up on all of that or any other shows that we have on the channel over at the Fantasy Network at watch.thefantasy.network or on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube or even Google, just type in Black Feather Guild. And I believe it is the first result that pops up on Google and on YouTube. So it's real easy to find. And then I think that is everything. So we're going to go on a raid. We're going to go raid Stella Luna, who's another awesome tabletop streamer. Definitely give them a follow if you're not doing so already. And then I will see you all on Tuesday. Bye, everybody.